One supplement that you should totally consider adding to your regimen if you are an athlete or an endurance athlete is L-Glutamine. So L-Glutamine is an amino acid, and its purpose for endurance athlete is twofold. The first is that it may provide some support for your immune system. So 25, 30 years ago, researchers were looking at why endurance athletes seem to get sick more often than sedentary people, more upper respiratory infections, more GI infections. And one thing they found is that these athletes had lower levels of glutamine in their bloodstream. And then, long story short, they found that glutamine is also a primary fuel source for the leukocytes, or some of the white blood cells. So they thought that this excess endurance training would, deplete glutamine, and therefore led to weaker immune response, thereby making athletes sick. Now, there's been a lot of studies on this over the years. It's mostly equivocal. Some of them say, yeah, the glutamine might help. Some say it doesn't do anything. But personally, I will use it during intense or heavy training blocks, or if I've got a big weekend planned. And that's why I'm suggesting that you should do the same, because you know how hard you train, you invest, you pay for entry fees, all the blood, sweat, tears, right, for these events. So why not use something that may give you that extra edge? Glutamine is extremely safe. It's pretty cheap supplement too. So again, that's something that I'll bump up personally, again, when I'm under a lot of training stress. Now, the second thing that glutamine is important for is that it's also a fuel source for the enterocytes, which are the cells that line our GI tract. So also something that can happen with endurance athletes, especially if you're going really hard in the heat, you can have increased intestinal permeability, aka leaky gut. Now, that deserves a whole other video, but leaky gut or intestinal permeability may help precipitate other types of inflammation throughout your body, depending on what's going on. Now, glutamine, being that fuel source for those cells lining the GI tract, can be a great part of a anti or healing up intestinal permeability. So that's another reason to take it, especially in the summertime. If you've got a lot of high heat, intense workouts or races planned, it probably wouldn't be a bad idea to dose up on glutamine. So think of glutamine for your GI tract, inhibiting or thereby preventing or maybe treating intestinal permeability, and then also a little extra immune support to keep you from getting sick in those heavy training blocks. Okay, think about glutamine, stay healthy.